Imagine you are the richest, most powerful man in Rome. You've led 40,000 of the world's most elite soldiers into the desert to win the one thing your money can't buy: eternal glory. Then, across the battlefield, the enemy approaches. And on the tip of a spear, they carry the severed head of your own son. This is not a myth. This is the true story of Marcus Crassus, and the moment his spirit was broken in 53 BC. What followed was not just a military defeat, it was a personal tragedy so profound it would trigger the civil wars that tore the Roman Republic apart and changed the course of Western history forever. This is the story of how a single act of psychological warfare shattered an empire. If you're ready to see how a father's heartbreak brought Rome to its knees, then you're in the right place. Marcus Crassus was a man who had everything, except the respect he craved. In an age of titans like Julius Caesar and Pompey the Great, Crassus was known as their banker. His staggering wealth, worth over $170 billion in today's money, funded their legendary conquests. But at 60 years old, he was desperate to prove he was more than just Rome's ATM. The wealthy Parthian Empire seemed like the perfect target, a chance to finally earn the military glory he believed was his birthright. Ignoring the Roman Senate, which refused to sanction the war, Crassus used his own vast fortune to raise a private army of nearly 50,000 men. Among his top commanders was his beloved son, Publius, a decorated and brilliant warrior. For Crassus, this campaign was no longer just about glory. It was about building a legacy with his son by his side. But he was marching them all into a trap, orchestrated by a military genius who would teach Rome a lesson in cruelty it would never forget. Before we witness the catastrophic battle, let's consider this. Crassus risked everything for a chance at glory. What do you think is a more powerful motivator? Ambition or family legacy? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And if you find these deep dives into history's turning points compelling, be sure to like this video and subscribe. As Crassus pushed his legions deep into the Syrian desert, his confidence grew with every easy victory. But this was all part of the Parthian plan. Their young general, Surena, was a master of deception. He wasn't fighting a conventional war. He was luring the Romans into a killing field, far from water and supplies, onto terrain where their heavy infantry would be useless. The Parthian army was unlike anything the Romans had ever faced. It was a force built on speed and terror. Heavily armored cataphracts designed to smash infantry lines, and thousands of horse archers who could fire with deadly accuracy while riding at full speed. Their signature tactic was the Parthian shot, firing backwards while pretending to retreat. On June 9th, 53 BC, near the town of Carrhae, the trap was sprung. The battle began with a sound the Romans had never heard. The sky itself seemed to buzz as a storm of arrows descended upon them. But this was no ordinary volley. The Parthians had camel trains loaded with hundreds of thousands of arrows, allowing their archers to maintain a relentless, non-stop bombardment for hours. Roman shields splintered, and their disciplined formations began to break. Seeing what he thought was a weakness in the Parthian line, young Publius Crassus made a fatal error. He led his cavalry in a heroic but doomed charge, playing directly into Surena's hands. The Parthians feigned a retreat, luring Publius's force away from the main army, before surrounding them and cutting them to pieces. Facing capture, the brave Publius ordered one of his own men to kill him. But his death was only the beginning of the horror. Surena understood that the greatest weapon is not a sword, but the human mind. He was about to unleash his masterpiece of psychological warfare. As the Roman legions wavered, a group of Parthian warriors slowly approached their lines. There was no attack. They came bearing a single spear. Atop it was the severed head of Publius Crassus. The psychological impact was immediate and catastrophic. The sight of his son's lifeless face broke Marcus Crassus. Accounts say the legendary Roman general, the richest man in the world, simply stared, unable to speak or move as his officers held him upright. The discipline that held the Roman army together shattered in that instant. Soldiers watched their invincible commander unravel into a sobbing, broken father, and a wave of panic swept through the ranks. As night fell, the Roman retreat became a chaotic slaughter. Desperate, Crassus agreed to meet Serena to negotiate a truce. It was one last trap. Crassus was killed during the meeting, and legend says the Parthians poured molten gold down his throat, a final, brutal mockery of the greed that had led him to his doom. The Battle of Carrhae was a disaster of epic proportions. 20,000 Roman soldiers were killed and 10,000 were captured. But the true fallout was political. Crassus's death destroyed the fragile three-man alliance that had kept Rome stable. Without his wealth and influence to balance the colossal ambitions of Caesar and Pompey, they became bitter rivals. The Roman civil wars were now inevitable. The severed head of Publius Crassus did more than break a father's heart. It broke the Roman Republic. It stands as a chilling reminder that history is not just made by armies and empires, but by profound, personal, human stories of love, ambition, and unbearable loss. If this journey into one of history's most brutal and consequential battles captivated you, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. You won't want to miss our next exploration into the moments that shaped our world.